everybody. It is Friday. That means Friday Night Tights is later tonight. And the weekend is here. It is time to celebrate. Watch, I'm going to get dinged for that now, too. But good morning. It was kind of a rough night. Unfortunately, you will not be able to watch last night's Nostalgic Nirvana over Con Air because I got a strike. So it's a warning for my channel, obviously, or I wouldn't be here because I would be in YouTube jail for a week. But apparently I shared abusive content, or I shared someone else's content after repeated warnings not to, even though I didn't get any warnings. And it was apparently, I'm guessing it was they're very non-specific over there at YouTube. They're just like, hey, you violated this by doing it repeatedly. And I was like, but I didn't. And I didn't get a warning. And I have no idea what you're talking about. So it is what it is. It was a great stream last night, actually. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you were streaming while I was on with Mora. We did our top 10 80s and 90s comedies.
Nice. Oh, I bet that was a great list. I will have to watch it.
It was tricky to get that down to 10.
I bet it was.
Yeah, that was the hardest top 10 we've done, I think. But we went for our favorites, though, not necessarily, the best or the funniest or anything. Just personal favorites.
I love it. Yeah, I'll definitely catch the replay on that. I just wish, man, it's been an interesting couple of hours. I'll tell you that. But how are you doing this morning, Steve?
I'm doing quite well. Played some FIFA. Ate some sandwiches. Finished the Jaws 2 novel, which was shit. But I always wanted to read it, and now I have. So.
And now you know that it's doo-doo, and you'll never have to read it again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much. I think that's it. Yeah. Went to the grocery store.
Very nice.
Bought some food.
Because it's afternoon for you over there.
Yeah, it's 1 o'clock, 1 p.m.
And it is 6:03 a.m. Central Time, which means it's 4:03 a.m. Pacific. So yeah, good morning.
I'm 7 hours ahead of you.
Yeah, I'm in Mountain Time right now, so it's 5:04 for me. So actually 8 hours ahead of me. Good stuff. But anyway, now that we got that all squared away, I'm so happy you're here. I'm happy that we're talking. And
for those of you who's wondering, this stream is called the Blockbuster Archives.
Oh yes, I was gonna get there. I promise. But yes, it is called Blockbuster Archives. And some homework. But first, so based on previous experience, I guess is what we're gonna call it, right, Steve? We've lowered our facts from 5 each to 3 each, because these facts have taken a life of their own and can take more time than we initially anticipated.
For new viewers, we are doing 1 year per stream.
Mm-hmm.
And we started with 1980. We're now at 1983. So we do some facts about what happened in 1983, like a history lesson trivia thing. And then we review a movie from 1983. One each.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll give our final scores for each. And then we'll each give a score out of 10 on the individual level. And then that'll be then we combine them for its total score out of 20.
Yeah, we give from 0 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt we're going to give any movie a 0, but...
Yeah, we don't... I, at least, do not intend to give you a terrible film. It might happen accidentally. I might be like, you know what? I've never seen this one. Let's go ahead and roll the die, as it were.
Yeah,
and then it'd be absolutely terrible.
And in the previous episodes, we've done Alligator and Raging Bull for 1980. We did Das Boot and Dragon Slayer for 1981, and Conan the Barbarian and An Officer and a Gentleman for 1982. Conan is in the lead, actually.
It is.
It has 18 out of 20. That's the score. So we both gave it a 9.
Yep. I don't think it's going to be the lead after today, though. I am genuinely excited. I actually cannot wait to talk about these movies. But first, we have to do our facts. Got to do them facts.
Yeah.
So
I'll roll a dice. Roll a dice to see who starts, and the one who doesn't start gets to start the review thing later.
Sounds good.
Okay, so you're 1 to 3, and I'm 4 to 6.
4 to 6.
6.
And we're just gonna take his word for it, folks, because that's the level of trust we have. Yeah. But also, good morning, Project Story Time. Hello, Outcast Creative. Pops, what's going on? Notifications not always working on YouTube. Well, it's also, depending on where you're at in the world, it's currently like 4 a.m. in California. So, no hard feelings at all. But thank you for being here. Cybot, don't even worry about it. Hopefully you catch it on the replay. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out, for being here. It's much appreciated. So, you've rolled a 6, sir. I believe that means you get the first fact.
Yes. And I'm doing the international facts, and she's doing the American facts.
Mm-hmm.
And my first fact is, well, it's a little bit American, actually. Pioneer 10 satellite passes the orbit of Neptune, becoming the first man-made object to leave the vicinity of the major planets of the solar system. It was launched on March 3rd, 1972. Between July 1972 and February 1973, it became the first spacecraft to traverse the asteroid belt. In 2003, radio communications were lost with the Pioneer 10. The loss of electrical power for its radio transmitter was to blame. The distance to the probe at the time was 12 billion kilometers from Earth. So it became a historical thing in 1982. No, sorry, in 1983, when it, first man-made object to leave the vicinity of the major planets.
That's pretty freaking cool.
Yep.
Space is pretty amazing. Here's the thing, whether you like Elon Musk or not, or agree with him or not, the thing is, the guy is definitely a dreamer.
Yeah.
And that's what space is supposed to do. And now people are
dreamer isn't that what the Democrats called people from Africa?
That is indeed. I'm glad you picked that up. But where I get confused is, when did it go from look up at the stars? Could we ever populate Mars? Could we ever do Star Trek? Could we ever go beyond our galaxy, beyond our planets? And now people are like, what's the point? It's boring, it's cold, you'll die. It's so nihilistic. And I'm like, where's that pioneer spirit? Where is that?
It's not just that. Thousands of years ago, the monuments people made,
Yeah.
with
the
almost
stars.
no technology. They were handmade, big statues and all that stuff. What are we doing now? Like modern art shit?
Oh,
Looks
don't
like
get
a curly
God.
white wave thing sticking out of a rock.
I hate modern art. And anybody out there who's like, art is subjective. Nah, no.
No.
You're not gonna sit there and tell me that a room full of aluminum cans and it's supposed to represent, like, it's literally just a room that they dumped a bunch of crushed aluminum cans and plastic bottles in. And you have like this really thin walkway to go through, and they're like, it's supposed to represent the consumerism that we're all facing. And I'm like, what? No,
Yeah,
this looks like a hoarder's apartment, and I can't believe this is valued at $6.5 million. Like, you have lost the plot. You have absolutely lost the plot.
We had some crap going on with some artists here in Norway a couple of years ago. They would drink paint and then on stage in front of an audience would poop out paint onto paper. And that was considered art. I'm not kidding. That's exactly what they did.
I don't understand. Like, okay, I'm gonna and you know what? People be like, oh, well, that's not a fair comparison. No. It is absolutely a fair comparison what I'm about to show you. All right. So because the first thing I'm gonna show you is they're supposed to be like the prolific visionary artists of the modern day. And their crap is valued at like obscene amounts of money. Something like $30 million. It's just absolutely insane. And they're like, well, it's not about the art itself. It's about the message it's sending. And I'm like,
the message it's sending is that it's shit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, it's terrible. Okay, so here, ladies and gentlemen, this is an exhibit currently in the Museum of Modern Art in New York. This is in the Museum of Modern Art in New York. Guess what this is valued at?
Probably 50 million.
Did you say 15 or 50? 15 or 50?
50.
50? This is currently valued at $77.5 million.
Wow. Shit.
Guys, these are carrot bits. This is a clump of dirt. This is a beaker with dirty water. This, everybody knows what an Advil, in the US anyway, everybody knows what an Advil bottle looks like. That's an Advil bottle covered in dirt. That, I mean, it's Tropicana. It's like, that is a Tropicana orange juice container. That is a brown paper bag that you can get at any liquor store. And this is caution tape that gets put up around crime scenes. And then you've got like a random piece of garlic and some gauze right here. And it's all spread out on a black tarp.
Yep.
$77.5 million for this. This is what it's valued at. My child can put something like this together and make it look better. This whole reduce, reuse, recycle nonsense has gone way too far. This is not trash to treasure. This is trash in a pile on display. And I swear to God, like, high art is freaking Emperor's New Clothes. Like, all of the snooty people who are told that this is worth tens of millions of dollars are like, oh yes, I can absolutely see how this is speaking to our abuse of the world and of Earth, and how we're just so frivolous with everything, and we take medication to deal with it, to not even cope, but just to simply forget. And then we consume the vitamin C that the oranges were kind enough to provide for us, and then we just toss it aside like it's nothing. Like,
yeah, it's retarded.
I'm so confused at how this is worth, like, okay, guys, keep that in mind, all right? I want to know, Stig, what would you pay for this?
I wouldn't pay anything.
Okay, say the Tropicana had orange juice in it and it was sealed.
Nope.
Nope.
Because it's lying in a pile of garbage. I would just assume there's piss in it.
Oh God, you cracked me up. So this is what passes for modern art, guys. Like,
yeah.
I used to say, "Oh man, I'm not an artist. I can do this.
Well,
I could easily do this.
Do it.
Just like walk up, okay, be like, here you go. Here's some trash. Here's some trash duct taped together.
Yeah, just do that and claim it's how I felt because of Trump. That'll give you a few extra millions.
Here you go. At least 6 million for not PTSD. What would it be? TTSD? Yeah, like Trump traumatic stress disorder or something. Okay, here's a statue of David.
Yep.
Carved with hammer and chisel and took years, guys. Took years. Take a wild guess what the statue of David is valued at.
$5.
No, it's not quite that insulting.
I don't know, 20 million?
No. Add another 0.
200.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Well, it's probably older, isn't it?
I'm confused. Say that again. What do you mean it's older?
It's probably older than the trash bin.
Well, yeah. It's a statue of David. Michelangelo carved it.
Yep.
So, if I don't know how many of you like math. Okay.
Well, it's almost the trash shit is worth half of that.
Yeah, the pile of trash. This is worth basically 30. If you round up, 39% of this. This is worth damn near half of the statue of David. Like, you have got to be kidding me. This whole trash to treasure thing has just gone out of control. Like, this, okay, you know what? I'll give it to you. This looks like, I think that's a cat. It might be a lynx. It's definitely a feline, I hope.
Yeah, otherwise, and that one obviously took more time.
Yes. There was consideration that got put into this. There was some care that got put into this. I don't know what this is particularly valued at. I hope it's more than $77.5 million, though.
It still looks like some 70 hippie shit.
Yeah, like, it's just, like, this is not good. Like, how is this? This is not contemporary art. This is the trash truck got into an accident and, you know, its contents got spilled out on the side of the park.
Yeah, and they have like they marked an area around it with tape.
Right.
It's like, yeah, because people are, there's a risk they might destroy this.
I just, like, look at that. That is a ratty mattress right there. That is a foam mattress with, like, sweat and blood stains.
Yeah, it looks like something I had sex on.
Ew.
No, I'm kidding.
Ugh. No, you're not. But, like, how is this? And you have, like, he's legitimately, I hope that this is a look of derision and not a look of consideration.
I hope it's the artist.
Because I hope it's the artist too. Like, this
admiring his work.
I am telling you, modern artists are taking the fine art world for a freaking rigmarole, because you cannot be serious about this. This is not good. And people are like, oh, well, some of it takes welding and metal work and glass work. And I'm like, really? This is literally what happens to trash when it gets sent to the, like, this is how you recycle paper. Like, there's a hay bale. They just put it in a hay baler is all they did. They literally just put the paper into a baler.
What's your first fact, though?
Sorry. See, these facts take on a life of their own. That's a nice segue. My first fact is that the very first syndicated version of Jeopardy aired. And
that's cool.
Yeah. It became one of the most successful, as many people know, one of the most successful game shows in history. It was known as America's Game until recently, when Wheel of Fortune pretty much took the title from them, but that had a lot to do with Alex Trebek.
We had Jeopardy in Norway too.
Yeah?
Yep.
Well, so the first episode only aired in America. And then
we got it in the 90s.
Yeah, so really, that took a while. But yeah, so the very first episode of syndicated Jeopardy aired.
What's Jeopardy? I was hoping you would fall for that one.
No. I love you, but no. But yeah, so I actually do thoroughly enjoy that show quite a bit.
It's fun.
It is. Also, a lot of times it makes me feel stupid, but I learn, so that's nice. Outcris Creative, you're not on the wrong episode. This is not modern art. Just is pretentious. Like, yes, exactly. Science fiction audiobooks. It is literally the point. Like, Brightest Day, dude. All I did was read the first one. Science fiction. Okay. Hi, Brightest Day. How you doing? Yeah. No, that is the entire point. It is worth nearly half as much, and it's literally a pile of garbage. But so that was my first factoid. What about your second factoid?
My second one is it's proper nerdy. Dragon's Lair was released. The game, in the game, the protagonist, Dirk the Daring, is a knight attempting to rescue Princess Daphne from the evil dragon Singe, who has locked the princess in the foul wizard Mordrock's castle. That synopsis is amazing, isn't it?
That's incredible. Like, I want to go play. I want to go read. I want to go do it all.
It was made by not just, but former Disney animator Don Bluth. Don Bluth.
Bluth?
Yeah, Bluth, I think. A Dragon's Lair overcame graphics limitations by tapping into the vast storage potential of the Laserdisc, but imposed other limitations on the actual gameplay. The game is considered to be on rails, meaning the narrative is predetermined and the player has very little influence on its progression. The game consists almost entirely of animated cutscenes. The player should execute an action at the correct time by selecting a direction or pressing a button in order to clear each quick time event. It's basically really shit design. By February 1984, Dragon's Lair was reported to have earned over $32 million. That's $87 million adjusted for inflation in less than a year. By the middle of 1984, however, after Space Ace and other similar games were released to very little success, sentiment on Dragon's Lair's position in the industry had shifted, and it was being cited as a failure due to its expensive cost for a game that would lose popularity. Arcade owners were also displeased with the mechanical unreliability of the Laserdisc drive, which was the thing it would skip, right? So, yeah, it was basically a big fat novelty, and with the cartoon cutscenes,
Mm-hmm.
it looked as if it was ages ahead of every other game.
Hmm.
Because compare Dragon's Lair to Pac-Man, right? It's insane.
True. Yeah. True.
But
True. True.
yeah, it lost popularity fast once the novelty wore off, I think,
Mm.
because
Once other stuff started catching up to or
yeah,
surpassing.
at the end of the day, when it comes to video games, gameplay is the important thing. It's not the graphics,
True.
which is why older RPGs are better.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, but
Because it
it's
had an
still a
actual
landmark, and
story.
it's still a landmark game because it did something new.
Indeed. And it spawned, it spawned a whole bunch of stuff. Like a lot of games wouldn't exist without that game. A lot of
Yeah,
stories wouldn't exist.
yeah, but the
Um,
gameplay, it's pretty much press the right direction button at the
mm-hmm.
right time. That's all you have to do. So
Yeah.
you can basically memorize the game. But it's an '80s thing. I think they played it on Stranger Things.
Yeah, I think you're right. Oh man, that show. It had so much potential.
Yeah. So yeah, that appeared in 1983.
Very cool. Um do. I'm trying to think. Um I want to say I think I've actually played it, but I don't.
I played Space Ace and I beat it too.
Oh.
I had it because those games got ported onto everything after a
Mm-hmm.
while, and I played it on the PC, and it plays exactly like Dragon's Lair, only it's like a sci-fi ish.
Hmm.
It looked great, even in the '90s. It looked better than most things, but the gameplay was shit.
uh, I'm trying to think. I think I have. I'm surprised you beat that game, quite frankly. Um.
I beat Space Ace, not Dragon's Lair. Never beaten
Ah.
that one.
Okay. Well. Um. My second fact is that, and this is, I guess, technically a world thing, but it was a huge thing for the US specifically. The Space Shuttle Challenger made a successful voyage mission. And then it was the first US spacewalk in 9 years in 1983.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah. So that was
Second space trivia of the evening
mm-hmm.
or morning.
Lots of, like I've said, space. It's supposed to be about dreaming and what you can achieve and how far can you go and human ingenuity to overcome certain death. Like it's everything. It's everything that the human spirit should be seeking and more, and yet everybody's like, nowadays people are nihilistic about it, and they're like, we don't need to inhabit Mars. We don't need to terraform Mars. We don't need a space station on the moon. Like,
Do you know how it was created? Space? Well, in the beginning, there was nothing, which exploded. Quote Terry Pratchett. It's kind of brilliant, isn't it?
There was nothing, and then it exploded. Yeah.
Big Bang.
Something like that. Oh man.
Doesn't really make sense.
Nope. Not at all. Okay, what's your third and final fact?
Well, my third is the usual one, births and deaths. So I'll do the births first. In 1983, Emily Blunt, Kate Mara, Adrienne Palicki, Lily Sobieski, Chris Hemsworth, Mila Kunis, Andrew Garfield, Felicity Jones, Jesse Eisenberg, and Adam Driver were born. So a lot of these have been in Marvel and DC movies
Yeah.
and shows now. It's like, yeah, it's like Marvel Origins year. And deaths were Karen Carpenter from the Carpenters, Tennessee Williams, playwright,
Oh.
and the much loved David Niven,
Oh.
soldier and actor.
Yeah. Dang, that's crazy. Oh man, Tennessee Williams. I love his stuff. Oh man. What a way to go. Well, my third and final fact is that crack cocaine was developed and spread throughout the US in less than 6 months, even though it was developed allegedly in the Bahamas.
I didn't know Nina lived in the Bahamas.
But yes, so 1983 was the start of the drug. It like the because so crack is considered like poor man's cocaine because pure cocaine was for like the rich kids, so crack was for the poor ones, and it ran rampant, and that led to the war on drugs, which is an utter failure.
Oh, prostitutes make way more money than crack dealers because prostitutes can wash her crack and sell it again. Sorry, bad joke.
You are a terrible human being, Steve. I love you. Oh my god. Mexican Iron Man for $10. Well, technically $9.99. YouTube kept that penny, but that's totally fine. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Mexican Iron Man. Good morning. He says, morning. Great way to start the day with the two of you. Have an awesome day. Thank you, Mexican
The same
Iron
to you,
Man.
mister. Hope your day is splendid.
Mwah. I hope you have a fantastic Friday. I love you. I miss you. We don't talk enough anymore. But that's also my fault. Phones work two ways. Like, anytime I have a friend who's like, we don't talk anymore, I'm like, okay, but phones work two ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know, it's a weird thing when people go, hey, can I call you? Like, yeah, just call and find out.
I know, right? Like, what? Like, it blows my mind. So when people are texting me like, hey, can I call you real quick? And I'm like, why didn't you just call? And like, well, I didn't know if you're going to be able to answer.
Well,
and I'm like,
if you're not able to answer, nobody's going to pick up.
Yeah, like
You'll
I
know.
was like, man, how did people survive before you could text ahead to see if you could call? Oh, it just blows my mind. And I honestly prefer a phone call over a text message.
You know what's even better? People showing up and knocking on the door. That's apparently dangerous now.
Apparently,
people don't do it anymore.
I remember I called my best friend when we were in high school, and I had one of those Nokia brick cell phones that
I had one of those.
Never died. I swear that thing could survive an EMP and a nuclear blast. But I called her and I was like, hey, you want to hang out? And she'd be like, yeah. And I'm like, cool, because I'm in your driveway. And she's like, why didn't you just knock on the door? And I was like, because I have my mom's cell phone and I really wanted to use it. Oh, man. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I will never forget. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry, folks. I'll never forget freaking oh man, what is that called? Caller ID. There it is. I remember when Caller ID first came out and wireless home phones were like the thing. And they were like, it's cordless. You can get like 6 feet away from the base. And you don't have to, because like the commercials for it or whatever, they were like, don't get wrapped up in the cord anymore. Because, you know, it used to be you had to like drag the phone with you if you wanted to go sit down or something. Or you had to hope you had a long enough cord. It's just crazy how far we've come since then. But that is a tangent that I'll not go off on because that will be a 3-hour tangent. But let me see. Okay, so you rolled a 6 and went first on facts, which means I get to go first on reviews. Good morning, X-Ray Girl. Mwah! How's Mexico? I hope you're having fun. I hope you're having a blasty blast.
X-Ray Girl, that's very transparent.
Stig!
What?
Oh.
I thought it was an excellent pun.
You are very punny. I will give you that 1,000 million billion %. Oh, I'm so happy for you. I love sunrises. They're one of my favorite things. Are you a sunrise or a sunset person, Steve?
Sunset.
Oh, fair. There are some gorgeous ones out there. For sure. But,
I like sunrises too. Just if I have to pick one, you know, sunsets.
Hey, I hear you. I got you. I'm picking up what you're throwing down. I think you're wrong, but it's okay. Oh, I'm just kidding. Let me see. Here we go. I can do this. I am capable. I am a strong, capable woman. Speaking of, there is one of them in the movie that you had me watch, which, by the way, folks, if you have not seen High Road to China, Lord in heaven, it was phenomenal.
I had a feeling you would like it when I picked it.
I love it. I loved it. It was amazing. It is a true adventure film. And I love adventure films. And we don't get those anymore. We don't get adventure. It's either just pure action where, like, you're not allowed to really breathe. Like, it's just one fight scene to the next fight scene to the next explosion to the MacGuffin to the next fight scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this one had, enough.
Yeah, there was a story. There was intrigue.
Character development.
Yes, character development. She's trying to find her father. So basically what happens is he is a World War I vet. And it's not been easy for him. And he's trapped.
He's a pilot.
A pilot. Yes. He's a pilot. And she calls him Ace. And it starts out as a mocking thing, but then it becomes less so as she learns more about him. But he's a drunk. Oh my God. He is a drunk. And
he wakes up drunk at least 3 times in this movie.
Yeah. To wake him up the first time, she literally throws a glass of wine in his face. But so he is an ace pilot from World War I, and he and Tufts, his mechanic buddy, they are stranded. They can't get back home to the States. And they need money. Well, she's rich and is being pursued by her father's ex-business partner, who is trying to who has officially moved to declare her father as dead, which means her interest in the company and her money or whatever would be gone. So she's like, I need to find my father and prove that he's not dead. Well, she's only got 12 days to do it. So she walks up to these this table full of naval officers who she's been flirting with all night. And she's like, who's going to lend me a plane? And one of them's like, I'll do it. And she's like, I'll have it back in 2 weeks. And he's like, I thought you meant for the night. There's no way I can give it to you for 2 weeks. And she's like, anyone else? And she's like, no heroes, huh? And she walks away. And then her friend is like, hey, there's this guy about 2 miles north of town. He gives flying lessons.
Whom she has obviously slept with.
Yeah. Obviously, and she makes the comment. She's like, flying lessons, is that what we're calling it? And she's like, you promised. And she's like, I won't say a word. And he is a womanizing drunk. He sleeps with married women left, right, and center. He's just like, he is deep in the bottle from all the crap he had to do when he was fighting in World War I. And you get a glimpse of it when they first land at this British camp and they need fuel and supplies and stuff because her father's partner sent someone to kill her lawyer and her.
And the lawyer is played by the guy who plays General Ozzel in Empire Strikes Back. He also plays Hitler in Indiana Jones 3.
Jones.
And you have a German pilot in this movie who is one of the Germans from Raiders of the Lost Ark. And one of the Chinese, the second in command in China, is the son of the Chinese gangster in Indiana Jones 2. So there's a heck of a lot of
parallels.
Yeah. And Tom Selleck was the first choice for Indiana Jones.
Oh, he would have been great.
Yeah, this movie.
This is Tom Selleck's Indiana Jones.
Yeah, you can see him as Indiana Jones in this. You can see what Spielberg was getting at when he wanted him for Indiana Jones. We got Harrison Ford, and he's fantastic as Indiana Jones, but Tom Selleck would have been great too. And this movie kind of proves it.
It really does. And we get a glimpse of kind of like what he's gone through. When he's talking to these other pilots, these British pilots, who are like, is that really who, like, are you actually this major? Like, are you really him? And he's like, yeah. And so he's like, they're standing around telling war stories. Now, here's the thing. She is not used to not being the center of attention, especially when it comes to men. In fact, when they land, he's like, I know how to talk to these. Like, I speak military. So let me do the talking. And she's like, and I know men. Like, she says it very condescendingly.
Yeah, and she's proven wrong.
Yeah, she's proven very wrong because when they get into the tent for the evening for like to have supper and have meals and stuff, and it's after all of that, the only one who's entertaining her is the one that like showed up to like when their plane landed. He's the OIC. He's not the CEO, but he is the OIC. And all the other guys are around Tom Selleck, so he plays O'Malley is his name in this movie. And they're all listening to him tell war stories and stuff, and then he's like, they asked him about Bunker Hill. And he's like, yeah, that was me. I got 12 kills. He's like, yep, we were shooting down kids because that was all that the Germans had left.
Which is
like,
accurate. Yeah, that's what they did. They just put anyone into a plane.
Yep. Put kids into planes because that's all the Germans had left. And he's like, if you get close enough, you can see the fear in their eyes and the confusion because they don't understand. And I'm like, it is a gut wrenching. And you're like, holy crap, no wonder this dude is buried in a bottle. Like, just wow. It's so, so good. And their chemistry is fantastic. So she is a spoiled rich snob.
Yeah,
but she does
but she is not helpless.
She's not at all helpless.
She brings a lot to the table.
Yes. Now remember, this is after World War I. We're in the 20s. Like when the show opens, she's in a flapper dress. Like, it's very much the 20s. She's, doing the things that girls of the 20s did. She's smoking cigarettes, and she's out until midnight dancing, and she's drinking, and
Yeah, it's the Roaring 20s.
she is an anomaly. Huh?
Yeah, it's the Roaring 20s.
Yeah, it's the Roaring 20s. Well, her father, because her father was rich, and because she's spoiled and she gets anything she wants, when she shows up to him, first of all, he's passed out drunk, so they can't do anything until the next day when he finally wakes up. And he gets into the plane with her because she's like, he goes, well, he's a mechanic, so who's going to fly the other plane? And she's like, I will, because she wants to rent his planes to go track down her father and prove he's not dead. And he's like, okay, sport. And so he gets her into the plane, and they take off, and he's like, go ahead, take it. Turns out this girl can fly.
Oh, yeah, she's great at it.
She's a fantastic pilot. Because they're rich, and her daddy, like, she was like, Daddy, I want to fly. And so he was like, okay. So she could fly really well.
Yeah, and that's like a little theme in the movie, because he underestimates her, she underestimates him.
Yes.
For the first half of the movie.
Yep.
And then they're both proven wrong.
But yeah, that's just like the intro to this film. There is, oh gosh, they fly into Afghanistan because they think that's where her father is, and the youngest brother of the chief wants to buy her, and then they smuggle out this Indian woman. She's Nepal. She's from Nepal, and so they smuggle her out in the middle of this like battle, where he actually has to pull some smart thinking. He dumps out the plant that the chief has sent with him to make sure that he goes and kills the British. They're at war with the English, is what they keep saying, and he wants the chief wants O'Malley to go blow up the base that they were just at the night before. So he has to do some like quick thinking. He's got to dump him out, and then she, along with Tuts, here we go, along with Tuts and the woman from Nepal, who is like, hey, your father is actually alive, and he said he was going to go to my village as soon as he could escape. And so they take her.
The mechanic guy is awesome in this.
Yes.
He is great.
He's fantastic.
And the lady from Nepal is played by the lady who plays the witch in Conan the Barbarian. The one that
Cassandra Gava.
Yeah. Something.
Yeah. But so Struts is the mechanic guy. His name is Struts. And like, it's just the chemistry between the three of them is really great. This is when they're in they're in the Afghani tent, and he backhands the crap out of her. He rears back and just smacks her because they're in Afghanistan. She's looking up at the chieftain. She's talking back to him, and he whips out a sword, and so do his men, and they're like, shut your woman up. Like, her eyes are offensive to me. He is threatening to cut her eyes out. And so to save her, he backhands her and puts her on the ground.
Yeah, he smacks the shit out of her.
Yeah, and he has to, because if he doesn't, they are going to he knows what they'll do to her.
Oh yeah, and the Afghani chief is played by the fantastic Brian Blessed.
Yes.
That guy has screen presence. Holy shit.
It is fabulous. So yeah, he's got a smack, he's actually, like, when you get underneath everything he's trying to escape, because it didn't have a name back then. They used to call it like fog of war, shadows of war, ghosts of war, the ghosts of the innocent that you've killed. Because people do not understand how terrible trench warfare and World War I were. Like, it's not it's oh man. And he does an excellent job of portraying what it would be like to deal with that on a daily basis. But once you get underneath all of that, he's actually a really decent guy.
Yeah, he's definitely has a moral compass and
Yeah,
all that.
he's got a moral compass. Like, he's not going to just abandon her. He gets offered like $500,000 worth of jewels in the 20s, guys. $500,000 of jewels in the 20s. That's billions of dollars today, if when you adjust for inflation. That's an insane amount of money. And he didn't give her up. I'm sure a part of him wanted to, though, because they fight, they bicker. Oh my word. But yeah, so they get out of the Afghan camp. They fly to Nepal. Her father's not there again. Turns out he went to go fight a battle in China. Hence the name High Road to China. But this is right before they leave for China. So he has two planes, Dorothy and Lillian. And Dorothy got blown to bits, unfortunately, by the German pilot who was sent by her father's ex-partner to try and kill them because he wants all the money.
Yeah, you get a little a dog fight.
Yeah. And you see just how good of a pilot he actually is.
Yeah, he owns them.
Yep. It's really good. It's fantastic. It's a great scene. And then this is when they finally, this is right when her father comes out and she's like, Daddy? And he kills me because he's like, you always call him Daddy? And she's like, yes. Why? He's like, no reason. Oh man, I got a chuckle out of that. The wit and the humor in this, and the
her
chemistry.
Dad is amazing.
Yes, her dad is fan-freaking-tastic. That's him.
Yep.
It's just so good, guys. And the ending, like, you kind of see coming, but not really. Like, you are not expecting it to end the way that it does. And it's just everything that they go through. And because they're in Nepal, her village is the one that they rescued from the Afghan camp. They're Buddhists, so there's no alcohol in the camp. So he unintentionally gets sober. And it's interesting because he's very grumpy.
Yeah. Oh, and the movie poster by alone, it is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't do. I miss movie posters like that.
I do too. I really do. They used to be art. They used to be fantastic. They used to pull you in and make you wonder what all of it meant. We just don't get it anymore. But yeah, this movie, for several reasons, could not be made today. At all. First of all, O'Malley would never be allowed to be O'Malley. He would never be allowed to.
Yeah, because, drinking and he's Irish.
Yeah. He's drinking, he's Irish, he smokes, he's capable, he's efficient, he's a war hero. Yeah, no, it would not be allowed today. It simply wouldn't. He backhands a woman, he tells her to speak. He's like, speak, because that's what that when they're in Afghanistan, that's what happened. Like, the chief lets you know when you can speak. The chief tells you what you can or can't do. And when they're in the tent, she's like, I swear, if one more person tells me I can or can't speak, or what I will or won't do, I'm going to let you have it. I don't care if you kill me. And I'm like, she's mad because she's not used to not getting her way. She's not used to not being able to say whatever she wants. And it's just, it makes for a very interesting dynamic for sure.
Oh, and her dad's partner, the one who wants to kill them, he's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. He's just this,
Englishman that sounds like he's about to puke with harshness every time he speaks.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like
He just makes his butler's life miserable.
yeah, and he's told that they're in Kathmandu, and he's like, why are you using such complicated words? You know?
Yeah. And he's like, and then they're like, well, they've not heard from him. And he's like, well, where did they lose him? And he's like, well, and then the butler finally gets, and this is the last scene that we actually have between the two, but the butler finally gets one in. He's like, well, sir, if they knew that, they wouldn't have lost him, or he wouldn't be lost. Yep. Oh my God, I died. But it's,
this is as an adventure movie, this is a perfect adventure movie.
Yes.
It has a great beginning. It has a great setup. It has a middle and an end that makes perfect sense. There's an insane chemistry. That's really important in movies like this.
It's so good for so many reasons. Oh, another reason this movie couldn't be made today is because they literally go to Nepal. Like,
that wouldn't work with a Chinese audience.
Would not work today. And China they're not necessarily the bad guy. It's really more of like this gangster in China that
it's
her
like
dad is trying to fight.
A warlord.
Mm-hmm. So it's not so much that China is the bad guy. It's really more.
Yeah, it's just a bad guy who happens to be from China.
Yeah, but still, I don't think that's how the Chinese would interpret such a movie.
No.
But yeah, it's freaking fantastic, guys. I love Tom Selleck, so I was really surprised. Like when Stig brought this up at our last Blockbuster archive, and he's like, "Which one are you going to pick?" And I'm like, "Well, obviously High Road to China, because I've not seen it, and I love Tom Selleck, and I've never even heard of this movie." And I am stunned that I've never heard of it because it was phenomenal, guys. Like
it's one of those movies that if you find it on Blu-ray, get it.
Yes.
Because it's very rewatchable.
It's so rewatchable. It's so much fun. I've got family coming into town this weekend, and I'm gonna make them watch it.
And it's the soundtrack is great as well.
Yes, it's really like the music is fantastic. It's just intention was put into this film. Care was put into this film. Like it was clearly a passion project for someone. And I think it was partly a passion project for Selleck because he really delivered. I mean, he's always fantastic, but he just really brought it home in this one. And I am going to have to give this a 9.5 out of 10. That is going to be my score for it.
I am going to give it an 8.
Fine, I'm going to give it a 10. I'm going to make up for your clear lack of judgment.
Well, you know.
What? This movie was dang near perfect. The score, the script, the casting, the writing, the pacing, the plot. They're like, guys, there's actually not a whole heck of a lot. There's like virtually no plot armor whatsoever. None.
Yeah, there's absolutely no plot armor.
I can't say that for most movies today. We don't even get adventure films anymore. Like we really do not. I think the 90s was really the last adventure film.
Well, they did that Jungle Cruise thing, but I hate The Rock, so.
But okay, so I watched that. I watched Jungle Cruise because I was over at my sister's and that's what they decided to watch. I watched it. I would not classify that as an adventure film. Okay. It was definitely an action film. Like this movie, it was clearly like it was an adventure. They went to different locations. They had to figure different things out. They had to gather information. Language barriers were an issue. They had to rely on the help of others. Guys, there's several times in this, like the woman that they rescued from the Afghan camp, she was the translator. She could speak English and Farsi. Like she was the one speaking. She was the one helping with the language barrier. And then she was the one.
no character is useless in this.
Yeah.
None of the good guys, basically.
True. But yeah, there's not really anything it's not open-ended. There's nothing that's unresolved is how I'll put that.
I'm actually glad it didn't get sequels.
Yeah, I am too.
Because this works perfectly
as a standalone.
Yeah,
absolutely. So like if we're like, when I think of an adventure film, Jungle Cruise does not qualify. At all. Okay, Outcast Creative, you take care.
Side note, there's a video game that's heavily inspired by this. It was released by Sierra, the ones that did King's Quest and Leisure Suit Larry. Yeah, it's called Heart of China.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a point and click adventure game.
Nice. But yeah, see, like we don't get adventure films like this. And Jungle Cruise was full of plot armor. And like they just happened to come across the tribe that they need. Like, so it was a setup because he knows the tribe. But then they just happened to have the information that he needed.
Yeah.
That he's been looking for centuries. And this tribe happened to have it. And I'm like, and you never thought to ask them? Like, are you like, there was just, that movie was full of plot armor and a lot of stuff went unresolved. And it is not what I would consider an adventure film. It was definitely an action film. There was explosions. There was chase scenes. There was a lot of impractical effects. And there was a boatload of CGI, but I would not classify it really as an adventure film. I wouldn't.
No, this is a pure adventure film.
Yes, this is a pure adventure film with elements of action in it.
Yeah, because you need some action.
Yeah. So like we said, you get the dogfight scene.
And the end battle, but that's pretty much
it.
That's pretty much it. Well, you have the Afghani stuff, but
that's really more of an escape. That's not so much. That's just them trying to get out.
Yeah,
it's not really.
That's more like
it's definitely
thing.
It's an escape attempt. It's not really a fight scene per se. He's just really more the distraction while they get to the other plane.
Yeah, Bess Armstrong's performance and Tom Selleck's performance in this combined is a 10 out of 10. They absolutely deliver, and then some.
And you're over here giving it an 8. I'm telling you, I'm giving this movie a 10. I didn't think I would ever give any movie a 10. I thought 9.5 would be the highest I would ever go, but I'm going to give this movie a 10, guys. I'm not even kidding. Okay,
that puts it at 18.
So it ties with Conan.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie has wit, it has comedy, it has heart, it's got soul, it's got drive, it's got a great score. The casting is amazing. The chemistry is on point. It's really well written. It's tight. Like the story stays within itself. It doesn't try to become like this elaborate save the world thing. It sticks to what it is.
Yeah.
And that's really awesome. And like even her dad at one point in the film, it's actually scripted in the film. He's like some battles have to be fought, and in the grand scheme of things, no one's probably going to remember this, and it's not going to matter to a lot of people, but it matters to these people, and it matters to me. And I was like, God dang, it just hits you right in the soul. It's so good, guys. I cannot tell you how, like, pleasantly surprised doesn't even cover it. I was shocked and awed. Expectations exceeded by the nth degree with this film.
See, people need to listen when I tell them to watch stuff.
I don't know. Alligator was pretty out there, Steve. I'm gonna just
but it wasn't terrible.
No, it wasn't terrible, but it was definitely out there.
I'm gonna pick some that's out there too eventually.
No, please don't do that.
Well, I'm not going to pick any bad ones.
It's all relative, right? So, final score out of 20 for High Road to China is 18. So it ties for the top spot.
Yes.
Of movies that we have reviewed thus far.
Das Boot is 0.2 points behind. Because it has 17.8 for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why we did it, but it's a 17.8. But yes, guys. So definitely, guys, God. I mean, I know it's early for half the world and it's mid-afternoon for the other half, but pick it up, watch it this weekend, enjoy yourself, because you will. It's fan freaking tastic, y'all. So 18 is our score. All right. Well, Steve, you had homework too.
Yes, I have. I was told to watch Trading Places, which I had watched before. I mean, who hasn't? Classic comedy from the 80s, starring Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd and Denholm Elliott and Jamie Lee Curtis. And Eddie Murphy could do no wrong in the 80s. And Harrison Ford was the highest grossing actor in the 80s. But if you remove Star Wars from the equation, it's Eddie Murphy. So Eddie Murphy was second place without being backed up by basically two franchises.
Yeah.
So he was huge in the 80s. And I remember back in the day when, me and my friends would rent movies and stuff. And if we saw an Eddie Murphy movie, we knew that, yeah, this is going to be good.
True.
It was guaranteed. 80s Eddie Murphy is he doesn't have a bad one in the 80s.
Really, he doesn't. They're all just top notch.
Yeah, and I did a tweet after I watched this that Denholm Elliott is grossly underrated as an actor, and like Hannibal says in the chat, yeah, he is hilarious in this one. Yeah. Basically, it's two assholes make a bet that they can turn basically a criminal lowlife into a millionaire and a millionaire into a criminal lowlife, I guess.
Yeah.
And they frame Dan Aykroyd, who's a stockbroker, I guess. And they give Eddie Murphy, who's kind of like a con artist or something. He gets Dan Aykroyd's place. Then Aykroyd teams up with a hooker, who is Jamie Lee Curtis, and tries to get, back after having several meltdowns along the way. So he hits rock bottom, and Eddie Murphy's character starts to smell the rat eventually, and they team up and basically
because Eddie Murphy's character is Billy Ray Valentine. He's like he was like, man, he's like, doesn't matter if a crook is in a suit or in a denim jacket, like they all talk the same. It's all the same game. Like they're stunned, the brothers, because it's the Duke brothers. It's Duke and Duke, and I can't remember their first names, but
they have a cameo, I think, in Trading in Coming to America as two hobos in the park.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's the Duke, so it's Duke and Duke, and when he starts, they're like, well, this might be a little bit over your head, but here's what we do. And he's like, okay, so basically you're cheating people. Like he calls him on it almost instantly.
Yeah, because he's not dumb.
Yeah, he's not dumb.
He's sharp as a razor.
Mm-hmm. And it's the same rules on the streets. It's just that on the streets, it's, I won't say necessarily lower stakes. It's just a smaller pot, usually, like for the level that he was working, it's just a smaller pot of money. But he still gets it. He gets the scam. He gets the con. And so they're shocked that he's able to follow what they're doing and then call them out. Because they were not expecting it.
Easily the best scene in the movie is Dan Aykroyd drunk out of his mind, dressed as Santa Claus and eating smoked salmon through the dirty beard of the costume. It's freaking disgusting, but it's
he's
it's
so
awesome.
Hungry.
Yeah,
he is not a man that's used to being hungry.
Yeah, and Hannibal says that this movie holds up. Yes, it does, but it would not have been made today.
No,
because the two villains are racist as shit.
Oh yeah. Also,
and,
there's
blackface.
gorilla jokes in here.
Yeah, and Dan Aykroyd blackface is in it.
Yep. He's got,
and that's
technically it's brown face.
Yeah, that's my gripe about the movie, though. It's the train sequence, the whole bit when they're on the train.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't. I feel it doesn't fit well with the tone and writing of the rest of the movie, because it goes from being very clever, and then you get the train stuff where it's pretty much goofball stuff, and then it goes back to being clever again. So it felt off, the whole train thing. The tone was altered a lot. I don't know. It felt a bit like they added and expanded the train stuff or something in some meeting. Because it's off.
Yeah, but, it definitely is. Hello, Dan Blackroyd. You're standing by your decision? Oh, was that you there? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so I will be docking it a little bit for that train stuff. That's personal opinion, though.
Yes. Oh, guys, and here is where they are being very I don't even really know, like, because they're not actually being racist in this scene, which is kind of shocking. They're just being blatant assholes in this scene. They are treating him like they are just assuming that he is an idiot who won't understand because he's not of their station. So I think you could have switched Eddie Murphy out with anyone that that was poor, and they still would have spoken this same way.
Yeah, because Hannibal in the chat says, yeah, it still serves the purpose of dealing with Meeks. Yes, it does. I just thought the execution felt off.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, they're just being very, not even dismissive. Like, I don't know what really the word
condescending.
Yeah, but it just doesn't feel strong enough. But yeah, they're just being really condescending, and they're assuming that he isn't going to understand. They're like, okay, we've put these visual aids out for you, and then they're trying to explain what it is they do. And
it's
he's
like they're talking to a child.
Yes. And then he looks up at him, and because they're like, now, if you're confused by this, don't feel discouraged. And he's like, I'm not. And then he just like lays everything out to him back at them. And they're not impressed, but they are shocked that he was able to do that, because again, they have their own prejudices simply by virtue of they're rich, he's poor, this is what they do for a living, but this is also what he does for a living, except in the real world. It's not on computers. It's with real people is what he deals with. So it was really interesting to watch the dynamic change in the room when he did that. So
yeah, it's a very good comedy, but it's not as good as I remembered it. And I think that happens with a lot of comedies because if you laugh hard at some scenes over time, like 10 years later or something, that's what sticks in your mind. It's the funny bits. But then when you watch it again, it's like, yeah, it had those funny bits, but not everything was that funny, right?
yeah.
But the like I said, the writing is very clever. It has a great plot.
Mm-hmm.
Better than most comedies, really.
Yes.
But I'm landing on a 7 on this one.
I would have to agree. I'm gonna give it a 7 as well. Like I think Jamie Lee Curtis did really well. Um,
She did well, but she wasn't fantastic either, though.
yeah, it's not the best thing that I've ever seen her in, and she was definitely I mean, it's Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd at basically their prime.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying that she wasn't necessarily at her prime, but like she was definitely outshone. Like even when they do like scenes like this where it's just like the two of them in the room, even if it's just her or if it's just her and Eddie Murphy's character, she
she
she's a
she
nice
hard she
compliment.
hardly had any scenes with Eddie Murphy, really.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot there, and I'm not entirely sure why, but the ones that she does have, it's like
You know
she's
what?
just not the standout character in this film, at least for me.
Her best scenes were the ones that she shared with Denham Elliott, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And he, Aykroyd and Murphy steals. They steal the show, right? Because
Oh
it's
yeah.
their movie. But Denham Elliott, though, it's like it's like Tombstone. Val
Yes.
Kilmer and Kurt Russell gets all the glory,
Mhm.
but Michael Bean was fantastic too.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Um I think this this movie depended a lot on the chemistry of the ability for um Aykroyd and Murphy to sort of like blend their comedic styles, and they did that really really well. But Colm was an excellent addition. He was sort of like that um I can't say like it's not like he gives mic drop moments, but like the two of them would be going back and forth, and then Denholm would just be like, his name's Coleman in the movie, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he plays Coleman, and then so like Coleman would just walk by, and he would be like, he would just say something, and it would just you can't help but laugh. It's
I
just the
I,
timing.
I was thinking when I was watching this that Denham Elliott would have probably made a great Alfred in the Batman
Yes,
movie
I agree. I agree.
because he always, even if it's a comedy or whatever it is, he always brings humanity to it as well,
Mhm.
and you see that very much in the Indiana Jones movies.
Mhm. Especially uh oh my god. Last Crusade.
Yeah,
Um he's oh, yeah. He's like the soul. Um which is nice. But yeah, so here we go. So he like he's not really a war veteran. Um he's getting harassed by the police or whatever, but he's he's a survivor. Like this is what he does. So yes, Hannah, you know Marcus. He got lost in his own museum once.
yeah.
uh It's good stuff. But Denholm Elliott is definitely an underrated actor, for sure. But yeah, so Trading Places gets a 14, which is not bad. It's pretty respectable.
Yeah, 14 out of 20 is not bad.
I was dying on this one. This one makes me giggle. But this one is very rewatchable. It's a good lighthearted comedy with a moral lesson at the end, honestly. And you get a really satisfying... There's a lot of satisfaction to be had from this movie. That's how I'll put that. The script is well done. It's very witty. And it's a lot of fun.
It's a great 80s movie.
Yeah. It's a great comedy movie. So we have our final tallies of 18, because you gave it an 8, because you're wrong. 18 for High Road to China and 14 for Trading Places.
Well, my thinking with High Road to China was, if it's a 10 out of 10, it's just as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I was like, it's not.
But it is. So give it a 9. Give it its due.
I'm giving it an 8. It's still in top. Well, remember Conan? That's fantastic too.
Yeah, this is better than High Road to China is ever so slightly better than Conan for me. Just ever so slightly. But
you know what? I'm going to be nice and I'm going to give it an 8.1.
Oh. Yay! Okay, so High Road to China has a score of 18.1, which officially makes it the highest rated.
But that means whenever I do one of those pick your favorite thing on Twitter, you don't get to whine.
Hey, but that's part of my charm. And I don't whine. I pull a full-out tantrum when you do that. I'm woman enough to admit I throw a tantrum when you do that stuff.
I know.
I know, right, Mud Crab? Look at this. Look at this guy here. Trying to tell me that High Road to China. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Hannibal, I don't think I have an Alamo Draft House near me. I live in the middle of nowhere. I think the closest one is like a 2-hour drive from me. Something like that. Which in the grand scheme of things isn't really that far. But this was fun. These movies were great. Like, these were movies definitely needed for this pick. I am a big fan, and I'm so happy that I got to watch High Road to China, because I was floored by how fantastic that was. I loved it.
Yeah, it's I had it on VHS back in the day.
Nice.
If I hadn't, I probably wouldn't have seen it myself. Because it's very obscure, that movie.
It like, it's not, like I said, I had never heard of it, and I am a huge, guys, like, when I say I'm a huge Tom Selleck fan, I mean, I am, like, if you stood Tom Selleck and Tom Hardy next to each other, I might just have a Tom thing. I just realized they're both named Tom. But like, if you put Tom Selleck and Tom Hardy next to each other and you were like, choose, I would have to pick Tom Selleck. Like, I adore.
Have you seen a movie called Quigley Down Under?
Yes, of course.
That one's great.
I love that movie. It's one of my personal favorites. But oh yes, no, I love Quigley Down Under. I was even gonna say, I was like, I'm getting some serious Quigley vibes from this movie.
Yeah,
But
this one's way better than that, though.
yeah, I would have to say High Road to China leaves Quigley Down Under in the dust. This was pretty, guys. This was a pretty fantastic movie. So it was just, oh, my heart. I loved it. It was so much fun. It was so much fun.
Which movie have you picked for next time?
Well, there are two that you get to decide between.
Okay.
So next month is 1984. So I'm not, but unfortunately for you, you don't get Dune or Ghostbusters or 16 Candles or Terminator.
Oh, that's fine.
And I'm not giving you Temple of Doom either. Which, can I say, Indiana Jones. Just gonna throw that out there. But, and I love Romancing the Stone, which came out in 1984, but I feel like everybody knows Romancing the Stone, and I'm almost positive you've seen it.
Oh yeah.
That is another fantastic adventure film.
Oh yeah, it's excellent.
I love it, and I really wanted to give you that one to pick between, but I was like, no, like, let's
1984 is an insane year for movies.
It's an insane year for movies. Like, the reason you're picking between two is because I literally couldn't. I was like, well, I don't know what to do. But hilariously enough, one of your picks is a Tom Selleck film, Runaway. Or if you're feeling a bit more sporty, if you're feeling a bit more Robert Redford, as it were, the other one is The Natural.
Shit. I'm gonna do the Tom Selleck one, Runaway.
Runaway? Okay, excellent. I mean, they're both fantastic. Have you seen Runaway?
No.
Oh,
that's why I picked it.
You're in for a treat. It's kind of, I'm trying to figure out how best to describe it. I feel like RoboCop was really inspired by it, because RoboCop didn't come out till 1987. But basically,
it has Linda Hamilton in it, right?
Yeah. No, Cynthia Rhodes and Kirstie Alley. Gene Simmons is in it too. I actually just watched this the other day. I love this movie. But it's like a futuristic, he's a cop, and he tracks down out of control, malfunctioning robots. And like, the rules for AI for robots exist in this film too, where they can't harm a human. You're like, you can't program them to harm a human. You can't program them to kill. You can't program them to do anything that would harm humanity, essentially. But Tom Selleck's character is chasing down what he thinks is a malfunctioning robot, but it's actually been programmed to kill people. Like, he thinks it's malfunctioning and people are getting hurt. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so he thinks it's malfunctioning and people are just getting hurt, and then he figures out that the robot has actually been programmed to kill. And I feel like this movie, it tried to be Terminator almost, but it's very much its own thing.
It probably wasn't, because Terminator came out the same year, so they wouldn't have had time to write a script to rip it off, I'm guessing.
Well, and then I'm not saying that it was a ripoff. per se. I'm saying that there's a lot of similarity. Like there's a lot of similarities. But yeah, it's really, really, really good. For me at least, like I enjoy it. I think this one, kind of like High Road to China, I think this one was technically a box office flop. But I really enjoy it. It's Gene Simmons in this movie. When you watch it, you'll understand what I'm saying. Like, but it's also Gene Simmons, so you sort of have an expectation right there with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's in a movie with Rutger Hauer called Wanted, Wanted Dead or Alive or something like that. Hauer plays a bounty hunter and Simmons plays a terrorist. Simmons is bad in it.
He's not great in this one. I'm gonna let you know. Yes, that's I was trying to think. Like, yes, Blade Runner. Thank you, Chris Persia. It is a surprisingly good movie. The plot is actually really good. The story is really intriguing. And yeah, there's definitely Blade Runner vibes for sure. But it's very much its own movie. So I think you'll enjoy it. And what's funny is I had actually picked, like, obviously I had this movie picked out before I even watched High Road to China. And I was like, it didn't even click that it was a Tom Selleck film. It's a death to the fleshy ones. But yeah, I think you're gonna really enjoy yourself.
Yeah, and the movie I picked for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I picked two as well. One is Streets of Fire,
Mm-hmm.
which is a action musical romance, weird mix, but it's awesome. And the other one is Rhinestone with Stallone and Dolly Parton.
Yep. It's really a diamond, honestly. It's a diamond in the rough.
Yeah. It's so bad it's great.
It really is. And I have seen that one, and I swear I've seen Streets of Fire, but I cannot really recollect it. And the description just makes me really want to watch it.
I think you'll love it, actually.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm thinking you're going to give it at least an 8.
Oh. Okay. I guess we're going to find out. I am exceptionally excited for it now. So, before we head out, is there anything that you would like to share? Anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to plug?
No, I'm gonna be on Teresa's channel tomorrow, and maybe you will too, for the Silmarillion book stream.
Yes, I want to be there, but it's communion tomorrow. We have a first Holy Communion tomorrow, so I will be getting while you guys are streaming, I will be at the hair salon.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll do our best to make up for it.
Oh, but you guys do fantastic.
That's pretty much it. And on Wednesdays, I'm on with Mara for the Cringe Factory. And, that's pretty much. Well, we have that fantasy tavern coming up eventually, don't we?
Yes, we do have a fantasy tavern.
Where we will be discuss. Well, basically, it's kind of like we talk about what a certain franchise is, the basics of it, and then expand upon it. And we've done Conan, and I think Harry Potter.
Yeah,
and
we're gonna do D&D.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons for the next episode,
which I have not touched. I've not actually I've not played D&D, actually played, I think since probably high school. It's been a minute. I think there might have been 1 or 2 games here or there, but I've not really played it. Mostly because I was, busy getting shot at and other stuff. But
I'm close to getting shot at when I'm DM for Mara and Teresa and company. That's
rightfully so. You made them kill people. You made them kill orphans.
No, they didn't kill the orphans. They killed the guy who was building an orphanage.
Oh, okay, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and Mora got swallowed by a toad. She wasn't happy for 3 weeks after that.
Well, I think I think I'd be mad at you too, quite frankly. Not the orphans. Some stuff's off limits, Steve, okay?
No.
But nah, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. It has been so long. Have many of the rules changed, or is it still essentially?
Oh, we're playing the Conan rules.
Oh,
So yeah, it's Conan D&D. We're not touching the new woke shit. So no 5th edition crap. It's not even D&D.
So that's where we can find, and you're on Twitter pretty actively, and you share really rude tweets where you make me choose things.
Yeah.
God help me if there's ever a house fire and I have to, like, after I get my family out, of course, I have to be like, okay, what books am I saving? That's going to be a bad day. Like, I hope that day never comes. Like, ever. But, so, to wrap up, Steve, thank you so much for coming. This was an incredible time. I really appreciate it. We have, so the movies that we reviewed today were High Road to China, which got an 18.1, and Trading Places, which got a pretty solid 14. Excuse me. So all in all, a couple of really great movies. And yeah, definitely give them a check. And next month, we will be doing Streets of Fire, which I'm actually really looking forward to. Like, it sounds like a lot of fun.
I'm pretty sure you're gonna love the soundtrack.
I mean, if it's an 80s soundtrack, I have no doubt that I will. Excuse me. And then
oh, it has an insane cast actually. You have what is it, Michael Paré? Is that how
Paré? Okay,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and Diane Lane. It has Rick Moranis in it. Willem Dafoe. Bill Paxton has a small role.
You had me at Rick Moranis, but then you put Willem Dafoe in that. Like, I'm ready for this. I am ready. Oh, look at that. Hamill Grimm did it in there too. It's got William Dafoe. It's good time. I am excited.
And it's a Walter Hill movie, and he has the Busboys in it. You know, the band?
Yeah.
They're in it.
Okay, I'm down. I am ready. Okay.
Oh. Yeah, Mudcrab is asking if
Conan is one of 2D20.
It uses the D20 system.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's very close to 3.5 edition D&D.
Gotcha. Section. Okay, I like had to. Guys, I'm telling you, it's been a while. My D&D stuff is rusty. So
yeah, everything after 3.5 is shit.
Literal, not figurative.
Yeah. Yes, it actually is.
Yeah. So Streets of Fire and Runaway are what we're going to be doing next time. So I'm actually really excited. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Ready for it.
I'm looking forward to watching both.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. It means the world to me that you guys are here, especially after the shenanigans that happened last night with last night's Nostalgic Nirvana stream. It really does mean a lot. So I don't really have anything. I might actually be streaming tomorrow. But that's still kind of up in the air. Like I said, we've got a First Holy Communion in my family tomorrow. So if I do, it wouldn't be until like late tomorrow night. But I have some more book club news. So not just mine that I'm starting, but also the one that booted me out, that voted me off the island.
Oh, you got kicked out?
Oh, my dude. Have you not watched this? Okay. I'm going to give you a synopsis. That book series that you have on the way that your dad bought you for Christmas,
Yeah.
I
He
called it.
bought book 5 thinking it was like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, no. I'm not even a fan of Game of Thrones, and I'm going to let you know that is a lie. That is an insult. But I will to fill you in, that series, book 1 is what this newcomer in our group suggested we read. Everybody agreed to it. It was horrible. It was not like, I'm not even saying, look, I understand smut has its audiences, and not all smut books are poorly written. This was just bad. Like, it's very obsessed with the fairy courts, enemies to lovers trope to enemies to love. Like, it's just, it's not good in any way that I can fathom.
And they kicked you out for saying that?
Huh?
They kicked you out for saying that?
Yes. Well, okay. So stuff was said. I gave my opinion. I was told that I was not giving it a chance. I was told that I must have read a different story. I must have not understood. I'm being very hateful towards the characters in the book and the people that actually liked the book, even though most of us did not like the book, but nobody wanted to say that because they didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Which is absolutely ridiculous, because this is supposed to be a place where we openly and honestly discuss the books, what we thought of them, their strengths, their weaknesses, all of that stuff. That is not what happened. And so this chick insulted my family. I threw a cupcake at her head. And then the next meeting, I was voted. They held a vote and I was voted out.
So
only one
it's
person
okay for
voted
her to insult your family just because you don't like a book?
Yeah, apparently. But me throwing a cupcake at her, that was too far. She's lucky it was just a cupcake. But anyway, I dish on all of that in my book club streams. But so yeah, I've got so much more has happened. And I'm just gonna I'll let y'all know what that's about tomorrow. Because Lord in heaven, that's gonna be like a 4-hour stream, guys. I am not even kidding. So that is what is going on there. So I may or may not, like I said, if I stream tomorrow at all, it would be very late, because all day is basically going to be, we have First Communion practice, and then everybody has to get to the salon to get everything done up for First Communion, and then we have First Communion, and then we have the party afterwards. So yeah, it is what it is. So if I do a stream tomorrow night, it will be very late in the US. I think it might actually, let's see, if you're 7 hours, it would be like 5 a.m. for you, Steeg.
Yeah, so, no.
Something like that, 4 or 5. Correct, and they didn't want to hurt anybody's feeling but yours. Yeah, that's funny how that works, isn't it? Funny how Queen Conceited Bee showed her true colors after one single cupcake was thrown off something. She's lucky it was a cupcake, and she's lucky there were other people there who escorted me out of they were like, come on, let's just go, like, let's get out. It was not a good situation. But yeah, we can talk about that more tomorrow. But guys, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. You can catch my Nostalgic Nirvana streams on Thursdays. And I am still editing videos that they will be dropping. And I've got Wheel of Time stuff coming up too. So, and as always, Lord of the Rings stuff. I'm always working on Lord of the Rings stuff, guys. Fear not. But Steeg, any parting words?
No, don't piss on cats, because they'll scratch.
Sounds good. Mudcrab, the novel writing is going pretty well. Thank you for asking. Still a lot of work to do. I'm guessing at least 3 years before anything is actually ready to go. But thank you guys. Much love, and I will talk to you all later. Mwah.
Have a good day.